proud members of the Podbelly Podcast Network.
I know you're tired. I know you're hurting. And I wish I could say something that was classy and inspirational.
You can do it!
But that just wouldn't be our style.
Welcome to Project Reclamation, where you rebuild, re-energize, and reclaim your life. Hello, friends.
Hi, I'm Troy McClure. You may remember me from such documentaries as Why Does This Smell Funny? And Why Does My Pet Want to Murder Me?
I think if my pets wanted to murder me, I'd be okay with that.
I think All Cats Want to Murder You. I'm pretty sure that was a book.
Yeah. Well, and I've heard, I have no idea if this is based on any science or any facts, but I've heard that like if an owner dies in the household, a cat will wait 45 minutes before it starts to eat its owner's flesh. A dog will wait a number of days.
Well, I mean, in the cat's defense, do you really want to let it go cold?
No.
I mean, on a warm meal.
I've had multiple conversations with Jax and Paige that if I were to die in this house,
Yes.
I think they should start eating me immediately.
Yes.
Because, I mean...
And you will live on through them.
Something like that. I know it's dark, but it's like...
No, because the same people who are like, yeah, when I die, or like throw my body out and whatever and let nature take care of it. Have you ever heard of sky burials?
No.
Ooh. Okay, everybody who's listening, go ahead.
We got real dark real fast. But let's run with it.
Anyone who's listening, look up, go ahead and Google or Bing it, sky burials. So I think it's in Nepal, somewhere over there in the east. So basically, it's I think it was practiced by a lot of Tibetan monks.
Tibetan monks, yeah.
Tibetan monks, and then I think there's some other people.
They're pretty spiritually elevated,
Yeah.
so I can understand that maybe the physical being once you're dead means nothing to them.
Exactly. So what it is basically, they just once you're dead, and then so it's their idea of returning you to nature, but also I think it's like impractical to try and dig in the mountains because it's just rocks up there and shit.
Well, and it's just frozen rocks.
Yeah. So what they do is I saw like it was like a break by break. It was like imager of just like pictures of the process of them doing it. It was pretty dark, but very interesting. So basically they just lay you out naked out in the field. They make these huge cuts down your body, basically kind of like how would I explain this? Have you ever cooked duck and you had to like cut the skin to like cross section?
You do that you do the pork too, don't you?
Yeah, like thick pork and stuff like that. Oh, like a baked ham.
There you go.
Just to throw that in to make everyone gross out at this right moment. Basically do that all over the back of your body so that the vultures can come in and have an easier time of consuming your flesh. And so basically the vultures do all that. They pick everything clean. Then they take the bones and then they smash them so that the vultures can eat the bones and there's nothing left. That's a sky burial. And it's metal as fuck.
I like it. Well, dude, I think I've told you this. Like, dude, if I die, like, just cut me up and take me on a boat and go feed me to great whites.
Great whites.
Yeah, great whites. And many people, well, I think you get it. A lot of people tell me I'm crazy for saying that. But then I was listening to Meat Eater podcast, and Steve Ranella was saying, yeah, I've told my brother, like, if I ever die, he should just, like, quarter me and hang me up in grizzly country and let the grizzlies eat me. And I was like, see, I'm not that crazy. It makes perfect sense.
Well,
like,
that's just revenge for him for one of the grizzly bears that they killed, giving him trichinosis.
That's probably true.
Yeah, or was it a black bear? I forget.
It was a black bear.
Yeah.
And now he's, dude, but I love how they ran with it, and, like, him and Yanni, like, made, trick positive shirts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, I've gone back and forth. Are you looking up sky burial?
No. I'm looking up the story that that I want to talk that you made me think of.
Oh, but I've gone on. So when I was younger and still working at GameStop and video games, so I originally my first thing was when I die, I want my gravestone to have a countdown clock. Counting down, backwards, and every time it gets to 0, it resets, and then like a little like words come up to say "fucking campers" or "fucking spawn killers," because that was what we called people who just camp a certain spot for whenever you respawn and kill you again.
Oh,
so
you're
I
talking
was
about
like,
video games.
Yes.
I'm like, what the fuck?
So
is
I
he
was
talking
in
about?
like a never-ending cycle of getting killed at a respawn, and thought that was hilarious when I was like 18 or 19. And then when I started traveling, I'm like, I want to be cremated and like scattered at 80,000 feet, so I'm everywhere at once. And then the other part of me is just like, oh, but I want you to save half of my ashes and just shoot it out into whatever direction aliens might be. So if there are aliens,
Ooh, I like that.
they might catch me and reanimate me through the ashes, and I'll wake up and be like, you are real.
Interesting.
So that's a fun one.
Just like be like, I want my ashes to be given to Elon Musk with directions to shoot them, whatever device he has at the time, or whatever like spacecraft he has at the time that can go the furthest.
I want you to put me in one of your Teslas and shoot me to the Betelgeuse
Put me in one of your spacecraft, Tesla, whatever. Yeah, for sure, dude.
And then Viking burial.
Well, that's a good one. That's the boat with the shoot the flaming arrow.
Yeah. Or just straight up like pillar of fire.
Yeah.
But I
wonder if that has anything to do with like the Phoenix.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't think the Vikings had any Phoenix related.
I don't think so either.
Not that I'm aware of.
I know that the Phoenix is a myth. It's a mythology that permeates many different cultures, but I don't think Vikings is one of them.
Yeah. And then what was another one? I've thought a lot about how I want my funeral to be like now that I think about it.
Interesting.
Now the other fun one that I came up with, which is hilarious. Two of them actually. I'll get two more, and then we'll stop talking about me dying.
Yeah.
I always wanted to be cremated because I always thought the idea of burying somebody in the ground in a box, in a $10,000 box, was fucking stupid.
It's expensive.
Yeah. I'm like, why? I'm like, my whole thing was like, whatever you do, just burn me, put me in a shoebox. All that money you saved for doing it, just have a fucking sweet ass party.
Yeah.
And just rage.
Well, dude, you went to my grandpa's funeral party.
Yeah. I don't think I was there for the service though. I was just
there wasn't a service.
Oh, there was no. Okay.
No, we went to Goleta Beach and spread his ashes on the beach.
Oh, okay.
And then he had a party, and all the people that loved him were there. And
yeah. No, that's the way to do it. In my
same
opinion.
thing, dude. JB's dad, JB's dad. We had an awesome party for JB's dad.
Yeah.
We had a bunch of freaking Santa Maria style grills. They cook and tri-tip. There was a live band.
Nice.
There was a bunch of like a whole an art gallery of photos of Clark doing crazy stuff like putting horseshoes on elephants and giving elephants pedicures.
I didn't realize horseshoes, or didn't realize elephants needed horseshoes.
I don't think he shooed them because he was a farrier, so he shoot horses.
Yeah, no, I know that.
But because he was good at what he did, I believe the Santa Barbara Zoo had him like give some of the elephants like pedicures, like he filed their nails. And all that
so he did the
stuff.
okay,
yeah,
that's cool. I was gonna say, I'm like, are they still called or horseshoes if they're on an elephant?
No, and they don't have hooks,
No,
so
no.
he didn't shoot them. But yeah, I think
they have nails. They have to trim.
He gave them like elephant pedicures.
Nice.
Clark was awesome. But yeah, I mean that's what Clark would have wanted.
Yeah.
That's what Opa would have wanted.
So, but so have the party, and then I was gonna make like one of those video wills to make it like weird and creepy, and be just to be like, oh,
and you're like, and all my money goes to
no. Well, what I was gonna do, I was joking with my buddy at T-Shirt Mart, who used to party and be a DJ and do shit a lot. So he's still imbibed in the cocaine every once in a while. I think
gee, we're going down this road.
So he used to do a lot of DJ shit. So he's telling me those things, and I always joked around with him. And one day I came up with this idea. I was like, yeah, I want you to just have a sweet party. I just want you to buy a bunch of blow, mix my ashes in the blow, and everyone just has to come up and in the video and be like, if you were my true friend, you would come up here and do a light of blow.
That's dark as hell. I'm sure somebody has probably done that.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
And then he's just like, oh my God, it's disgusting. And he's just like, and just flipped a switch like, you know what? It's what Brett wanted.
Well, you listened to, did you listen to the Sofa King episode where Dave Moten was talking about, because his brother died, right?
Yeah.
Where they took his brother's ashes and like sprinkled it on their like Thanksgiving dinner.
No. Well, that was my other
dude.
secondary one. Was I wasn't obviously going to do it, but in the video, I would have it set after the meal so that I could tell everybody just like, I hope you enjoyed the food that was provided.
No, they did. They did it willingly, and I don't know if it's something his brother wanted. I don't know. Anyways, if you want more details on that, go listen to Sofa King. Which brings me to Let's Pay the Bills. We are a proud member of Podbelly Podcast Network, the best podcast network in all the land and all the multiverse. So go check it out, podbelly.com. There's podcasts for everyone.
Oink, oink, motherfucker.
There you go. Go check out Sofa King. Go check out We're Not Sure Yet. Go check out Hillbilly Horror Stories. Go check out, there's a ton. Just go check them all out. I'm sure you'll find one you like. Hopefully not more than us, but maybe. Who knows? But either way, you'll find one. Or maybe you love our podcast, but someone that is close to you doesn't. And maybe you'll find one that they can love. And everybody should love podcasts. And also paying the bills, our number one and actually only sponsor right now.
El Yucateco.
There you go. Yeah. Which, we love El Yucateco. Brett and I have been, by the way, Tim, this is Tim. I'm Tim. I'm here with you as always. And you have, he's drinking a sip of his beer.
Hi, I'm Brett.
That's Brett.
You
Love
thought I
Brett.
was Troy McClure, didn't you?
You thought he was
it
Troy
was
McClure.
So good.
You thought you
I
were
was a
watching
Simpson
The
character.
Simpsons, but no.
It's like I was there.
But you're dead because your wife killed you.
Sad.
Oh, that is sad. That's a sad story.
Yeah.
Phil Hartman was amazing.
He was.
Anyways, so El Yucateco, Brett and I have actually loved El Yucateco forever. Thanks to the Sofa King guys, mostly Brent. Thanks, Brent.
Yeah.
El Yucateco's a shit. Brett and I have always had a million hot sauces, but I think that's the one we've always used the most.
It's like for me, it's like the what I see In and Out is for the burger. If I want a no muss, no fuss sauce, in the sense of like, I just want some good hot sauce that I can put on anything and it'll taste good. Boom.
And then you have options too.
Exactly. You want to light your asshole on fire? You get XXX. If you're a little bitch, they have jalapeno.
Right. But if you want like a Swedish kind of smoky kind of a barbecue sauce, you got Chipotle. If you want that smoky, you got the black.
The black, yes.
If you got something that's kind of maybe teriyaki-ish or a little Hawaiian or a little Caribbean or a little jerk chicken-ish, you got the Caribbean.
Yeah.
So I
feel like you added in all those extra ones. It's like it's Caribbean.
It's cool. Well, no, I know it's Caribbean, but what I'm saying is it kind of works in that teriyaki vein.
Yes.
Anyways, they have a bunch of sauces. Mm-hmm. Whatever your palate wants, they have it. It's great. Mm-hmm. Go buy El Yucateco, put it on everything, and then hey, do us a favor. Go on Instagram.
Fun for the whole family.
Follow El Yucateco. Like their posts. And you know what? Put some fucking El Yucateco on your dinner or your lunch or your breakfast. Yeah, El Yucateco and eggs. Great. Amazing. Put it on your omelet. Put it on your waffles. I don't know. Fucking put it on everything. Just drink it directly out of the bottle. And then take a picture. Post it on Instagram. Tag us. Tag El Yucateco. Do hashtag Podbelly. Some shit like that. Do us a favor. Because we love you. So love us back. Anyways.
Starting a new hashtag. Hashtag my asshole's on fire.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. In my job, we call on lots of doctors. Mm-hmm. Some of those doctors happen to be GI docs, gastrointestinal doctors. So they do a lot of like colonoscopies. Mm-hmm. So we brought coffee to this doctor the other day in some area. And so I took his coffee to his office and put it in his office. And as I'm walking out of his office, I see this, like, it wasn't a Far Side cartoon, but it was kind of like, it looked like it was like a sketch cartoon. It looked kind of Far Side-ish-esque. Yeah. And it was a doctor. So the dude was kind of in like hands and knees, doggy style kind of position, pants down, had a tube coming out of his ass, and there was some sort of liquidish matter spraying out of the tube, and the doctor's kneeling down with his face right in front of the tube. Anyways, I thought it was hilarious. So that's what that reminded me of.
Lindsay's grandpa was a whatever you call those ass doctors. What do you call them?
Proctologist.
He was a proctologist. Apparently there's a lot of money in proctology. Who do not? But he had this little figure made out of kind of like those folk art things that you see, like people like weld nuts and bolts together to make some sort of like motorcycle or or whatever. Yeah. It was like that, but it was two people. One guy bent over and the other one with with his hand up his ass.
That's funny. Yeah, dude. I mean, in all the special, it's funny though, because a good friend of mine, he was I met him a long time ago. I was training for I think it was my first medical job. And I met him, and he was a resident, which those of you who don't know how becoming a doctor works, when you go to med school, and then after med school, you get your bachelor's in pre-med or whatever. Mm-hmm. Then you go to med school. Then you get your residency. So you work at a hospital somewhere.
And then you have to at least kill 3 patients.
Right.
Quote unquote, accidentally.
So for 3 to 5 years, depending on what specialty you want to do, you're considered a resident, and then maybe you're in a, and then after that you can do a fellowship. And then, anyways, it is whatever. So after med school,
do you get a ring?
After med, dude, I don't know. Do you get a green jacket? So when you're a resident, you're basically like, you're already a doctor, but you're still kind of in training. So you work under an attending. If you've ever watched Scrubs, by the way, Scrubs is amazing. If not, you should definitely go watch Scrubs. So yeah, in that, throughout most of that whole show, all the main characters were all residents. So anyway, so he was a resident GI doc, and that was when I learned, meeting him. I was like, dude, because there's a lot of doctors that are fun to work with, not so fun to work with, but dude, GI docs, they're hilarious. And I was like, dude, you're great. And he's like, dude, we're poop doctors. We have to be funny because
we're poop doctors.
We're poop doctors. Exactly.
We're poop doctors. We know our shit.
So
that should be their slogan.
I'm going to tell one story, and then we're gonna move past this whole death thing, because we've gone down a dark rabbit hole off the bat.
I think we did a good job of segueing from death to poop.
We went from death to poop, and now I'm going to go back to death. I'm sorry.
Ah, shit.
Did you watch the show Dexter?
I watched the first 3 or 4 seasons. I think I fell off after the love interest was taken off the show.
Oh,
I think
that was a season with John Lithgow, right?
Yes, I think that's the
Harry
one.
and the Hendersons.
Yes,
dude, he's amazing.
Oh, he's an amazing actor.
Such a good actor.
Oh, he's great. Yeah,
because he's hilarious. But then he also apparently plays
creepy real well.
Yeah. So, anyways, well, so I watched the whole show. I thought it was great. The way they ended it kind of sucked.
That's what I heard.
Well, I just read today it's 7 years after the show ended. They're gonna bring back one final season.
Oh,
to wrap it
to pretend the other season didn't exist.
No. I think what they're gonna do is they're gonna actually make it 7 years later.
Oh, okay. So what did it end on a cliffhanger kind of thing?
No, it just didn't really wrap much up.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to ruin it for anyone.
I mean, yeah.
But obviously, if they can do another season, clearly he lives.
Yeah.
I think the logical way to end it would have been him not living, but he does in a way where he ends up. Fuck it, I'm just gonna ruin it for everyone. You think he's dead. If you want to find out how or why, go watch it, and then there's kind of I don't know if it's a post-credit scene but there's kind of a after the fact scene, and there's this they're logging somewhere in I don't know, Alaska or the Pacific Northwest, and one of the dudes that works there, he's got this big beard, and then sure enough, boom, it pans around and it's him. So he's still alive, but he's obviously hiding. Yeah. So apparently they're gonna do a 1 season, 10 episodes years later to kind of wrap it up. Whatever. So
calling it, he's in Alaska or Canada, and instead of dropping cut up body bags of shit, now he's just I can just take them out into the forest and let the bears eat them. Well,
yeah, dude, like Steve Rinella. Yeah. So I'm not going to go too far into this, but I heard this story today. It's kind of dark. I'm sorry. But I'm just going to read the headline. Lesbian lovers behead hotel worker, sever his finger in robbery plot inspired by serial killer show Dexter. So these 2 girls, 24 and 14, in Portugal.
Jesus.
I guess inspired by the show Dexter, they murdered, they seduced some guy.
They were a lesbian couple?
Right. But either they or one of them seduced. So
that 24-year-old is a fucking pedophile.
And 19?
You said 14.
No, I said 19.
I heard 24 and 14.
I don't know, man. Maybe this one beer went straight to my brain.
Maybe, or I heard it wrong.
So 19 and I'm sorry,
the tape viewer, and figure out.
I'm sorry, right. 19 and 23.
Okay.
Accused of murdering a 21-year-old hotel worker. Apparently, they seduced him, got access to his bank accounts, and they did all this for $77,000. But they ended up getting caught, and now they got arrested, and now they get nothing. So the point is, if you're going to watch a show about serial killers, just enjoy it for the enjoyment factor. Don't try to reenact it, because A, you're probably not skilled enough to pull it off, and B, killing people's wrong, and you shouldn't do that. That's not what this show's all about.
No. It's like those Slender Man kids.
Oh, that's so weird, dude.
Which is worse because I think they're all I think they were only maybe 12 or 14 or something. But anyway, dead air because Tim went to go grab more beer. and now he's back. And because maybe the sound effect will sound nice. Hold on.
Ooh, I like that. That's nice. So what are we drinking? We're drinking something called Anderson Valley Brewing Company Boot Amber Ale.
They make good stuff.
It's not bad. I like it. The logo is a bear
with moose horns.
With moose horns.
Or no, those are more elk horns. Or deer horns.
Yeah, they're not moose horns. There's something in the deerish family.
Well, technically moose are deer, so. But no, those
technically an orca's a dolphin.
Well, technically a fucking tomato is a fruit. How long do you want to keep this going?
Technically there's no such thing as a vegetable.
Well, yeah, they're all just fucking flowers and leaves, all right?
Yeah, or roots or stalks.
The government is lying to you about vegetables. They don't exist.
The government's lying to you about a lot of stuff, including the food pyramid.
Mainly vegetables.
I mean, Brett and I grew
Vegetables are good. Eat your vegetables.
Eat your vegetables for sure. However, I don't know. I've heard all sorts of weird stuff lately, like apparently kale can kill you.
Sure, anything can kill you if you eat enough.
Well, that's true. But here's the thing, folks. Vegetables are still good for you, but ultimately, at the end of the day, I think if you eat good, real, whole foods, that's the best way to do it. And then find out what works for you.
Exactly.
Guess what? Some people handle being vegetarian really well. Other people can cure freaking autoimmune diseases being on the carnivore diet, which means you literally eat nothing except for meat. So who knows? I don't know.
Here's the shitty thing.
I know nothing.
There's no one right answer for anybody. You have to figure it out for yourself, which is, it's not easy. But once you figure that thing out, do it. Which for me, eating a lot of just meat and vegetables, I feel way better than if I eat a bunch of carbs. So that's me.
Right. And I haven't done the studies. I haven't done the even anecdotal studies, but I have a feeling that if I were to eat a lot of, well, and Brett and I have ate a lot of, good grass-fed organic shit.
I've done it before.
We've been living off of butcher box meat for a long time, and all that's all grass-fed and
yeah.
whatnot.
I mean, for me to have like a side-by-side comparison on what's better.
I have no idea.
But I mean, it's, I don't know.
But either way, dude, I don't condone factory farming. That's a conversation for another time. However, it's still eating whole food is better than eating processed food.
Yes.
I think at the end of the day. However, we grew up at a time when
fat was the devil.
Which is interesting because now we have learned it's really sugar's the devil. But then you go on to learn that fat was made the devil because sugar is an industry, and the sugar industry basically lobbied and paid doctors to doctor studies and say that fat was the devil. And that's why we have the food pyramid we have, and that's why Brett and I grew up eating low-fat things pumped full of fucking sugar.
Yeah.
So
it's like, we'll make these low-fat things. They taste like shit. Just add a bunch of sugar. That'll fix it.
Well, I mean, milk is a good example. Whole milk is better for you than skim milk.
Hmm. Why do they add sugar to it?
No, whole milk they don't have to. Because
I don't really drink milk, so.
Well, I can't drink milk because I'll throw up. But whole milk has enough flavor because of the fat.
Yeah.
Skim milk, and even like 2%, it loses a bunch of flavor. So they pump it full. They put a bunch of sugar in it to add flavor.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting thing, but I think it's a nice segue to our topic, which is mental judo, mental gymnastics.
Mental gymnastics? Thinking for yourself?
Thinking for yourself. So I don't know if this makes sense, but my thing was, if you're going to try to be better at judo or gymnastics or anything, you have to practice. So with mental acuity, it's the same thing. And we have to practice thinking for ourselves.
Yes.
So, I think we're probably going to talk, and Brett wanted to talk about some propositions because we live in California, so we have all these propositions. I think in other states, they might call them other things. But the bottom line is we were having a conversation before we started recording this about just how they word the descriptions of some of these propositions. And they word them in ways to to fucking confuse you. And then, they have like I think if you read it has like a description, and then I think it has like the argument for it and the argument against it.
Well, on your ballot, it just kind of gives you the what it is, and then they'll send these little, if any of you ever did those STAR tests back in school, those little notebooks made out of really shitty newsprint. They send you those. Every time I touch it, I get flashbacks.
Right.
So
Those are
basically,
the same ones that like you took the silly putty and like if you press it against it, like the newsprint comes
the
off.
newsprint was come off. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that ink probably killed a lot of people. Who knows?
It's made with glyphosate. I just made that up.
Oh, okay.
That's the thing in Roundup that gives
Oh,
that kills
okay.
people.
Oh,
or
okay.
whatever.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Thanks, Monsanto
Monsanto
and Bayer.
Chemtrails.
Chemtrails.
So basically, it gives you a quick reference guide in the beginning to tell you like, hey, this is basically what it is. If you vote yes, this is what you're voting for. If you vote no, this is what you're voting for. And then basically, if you keep going further, then it gets into a little bit more detail. But obviously, it's not the entire thing that they're talking about. And then that's when it gives you first. It gives you the people first. Whoever's basically proposing the bill, or the proposition. Whoever's doing it has the first part. Then below that is the people rebuting that. Then the people who rebuted it have their own paragraph to say why this is terrible, and the people who are for it have their rebut underneath. And some of them are just like, here's the thing, like I wish people were, obviously that's never going to happen because politics and life and whatever you want to call it is, people like to sugarcoat things a lot. So if I could, let me see if there's
and then they do wordsmithing to make things sound good.
Oh yeah, they do wordsmithing, but then also the whole.
I mean, you and I were just talking about something with like schools, but then I'm like, well, my mom's a teacher. Like I see where the money goes for schools, and not that I'm not down to fund teachers and stuff that actually gets to the students. But the problem is anything goes to schools. At first it goes to the school district, then it goes or the school board, school district, then it gets filtered down. It's like, I wish they would earmark these things better. Like, cause if I'm going to sign off on increasing my tax dollars to go to some cause, I'm down for that, but I want to know that it's actually going to make it there.
Yeah, exactly. That's why because I understand probably writing these propositions once it becomes law or whatever you want to call it, whatever it, you have to add in a bunch of legal mumbo jumbo that no one's gonna fucking understand, which is a whole nother.
Well, yeah.
But
are you gonna give us some examples?
Yeah. Just certain things, certain examples of what they say, just oh, this side's using scare tactics and that side's using whatever.
Newsflash.
My father was a Jamaican.
Newsflash. Everyone's using scare tactics.
Yeah, I know. It's basically how people do
If
things.
you don't vote for me, you're going to die.
Opponents are using scare tactics to try and stop from fixing a nearly 50-year-old out-of-date voting
If you
policy.
vote no on this proposition, your grandparents are going to die.
Yeah, pretty much.
Not true, necessarily. I don't know.
no.
This is all anecdote.
I mean, how I do it, granted, this isn't how everyone does it, and I'm not going to try and be all high and mighty and say everyone should think like
Oh,
me.
no. We're not political activists.
No.
And we're not even smart.
Oh, no, but yeah. But I feel like with things like these, just like with anything else that is either apolitical or something that
Anything, even the news.
Well, yeah, the easiest ways to get you to jump on a side of something is either
The children.
use that's the thing. Try and scare them into it, or actually, this kind of goes into one. You could try and use emotion, but being scared is an emotion, isn't it? Technically?
Yeah.
So basically,
but also
trying to use emotion,
but using emotion to the extent where, if you're like, well, I don't agree with that, they're like, well, that means you hate children. You want them all to die. They put they set up a gauntlet that makes you feel like or seem like a horrible person if you disagree with it. And you're like, well, wait, huh?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, don't let, obviously there are certain things in life that require you to not be a cocksucker or an asshole and be like, hey, we should kill this guy because fuck him. Or, fuck this small group of people because that doesn't make sense for anything. Yeah. But when it comes to a lot of politics, I feel, especially politics, a lot of people let their emotions get too far into it, which in my opinion is not a mistake, because there's certain things yes, this is a good thing, we should do it. Costs money. I know it's going to cost money, but it's going to help a lot of people, so we should do it.
Right. But then it gets to the point where sometimes it's like I don't want to jump down this rabbit hole too much, but like let's talk about global warming. Well, global warming is a big issue. Okay, I agree. And so here, this bill is going to help global warming. Well, all this bill does is tax people but where do those tax dollars go? So like taxing me for using too much carbon, it punishes me for using too much carbon. So maybe, but then again, have vice taxes ever worked? Like, alcohol gets taxed, cigarettes get taxed, people still smoke and drink. So sometimes they make it seem like they give you a problem that may be real, but then their solution is just to tax you. But the tax dollars go into a general fund, blah, 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 blah. So
basically the money that they say they're going to use for something doesn't actually get used for that,
right,
or a small portion of what they do, and they use that for something else, which no one wants to put in the writing, or like if it's in there, it's buried deep to within to where they can't do anything. Because like with the whole, what was the big one for California was a few years back was like, what is it? The road tax or whatever. Basically, they did that highway tax so they could rebuild all the fucking roads.
Well,
and shit.
and our gasoline tax that we pay.
Like, that's what it was. The gas tax
you pay
for the roads, but they never fixed the road.
but then they never fix the roads because the gasoline tax just goes into the general fund.
Yeah, and it's like, oh no, we need to reallocate this over.
Yes, so they reallocate the funds. Or how about the forest management funds?
So we call the old switcheroo.
We have a bunch of money that gets allocated to forest management every year, which is supposed to clean up the forest so that wildfires don't ravage our state. But guess what? That fund has also been misused. So wildfires ravage our state every year.
Well, I guess what I'm trying to say is like, no, you shouldn't just be a emotionless robot and take the logical idea. You should still have like think with your heart too, but also think with your brain in the sense of like, yes, I understand that this will do great things, but does it logically make sense to do this? And is there in this proposition or bill, is there actually wordage that specifically says it will be used for this and only this? Or, this gives us the option to reallocate funds X when needed.
100%.
Exactly. So
like if I don't know when the vice taxes were passed. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, vice taxes are increased taxes that are placed on things considered
tobacco,
vices.
alcohol.
So tobacco, alcohol.
I'm guessing marijuana.
There's probably a marijuana vice tax as well.
Yeah.
So ideally, and I'm sure when it was originally pitched, this was probably pitched that, hey, these increased taxes are going to go towards helping people quit these things. I mean, that's the idea. But have they ever? No. So yeah, just pay attention to something. And, like if you care about global warming, look at if a bill says they're going to, it's going to tax people for global warming, but there's no verbiage as to where the money's going to go to actually help anything.
Yeah.
Maybe you take the money, maybe you vote no and take the money that would have gone towards that and donate it to some sort of a nonprofit organization that actually is doing something good.
Yeah.
So you can definitely change things. And when it comes to nonprofits, again, I'm going a mile a minute here, but you can look at every nonprofit has and I wish Shannon was here because she could correct me on this.
A rating.
Yeah. And it's a percentage out of 100 because that's what percentages generally are.
Yeah.
And that's how much of every dollar that's donated actually goes to the cause.
I forget which website it is, but then even that too, because it's a quote unquote third party that does it. But I've heard some other things be like, what was it? I think it was during the Hillary Clinton campaign because I think her like whatever the Clinton initiative thing was like.
The Clinton Global Initiative.
Yeah, it was like 2 something stars, but then as soon as because they hadn't filed any like tax paperwork or bullshit, whatever.
Their organizations.
I know. I'm not trying to get political. Whoever. I'm just using it as an example because it's the only one I can think of. But I mean, at the end of the day, you have to like make your own decision as far as like look into what is it? What do we see every October? Generally for, is it October? Is
pumpkin patches?
No, which one's breast cancer month?
Is that October? I think it is October.
October, where they put pink on everybody in the NFL.
Well, yeah.
Except now, I don't think they are right now because nobody's watching, so they don't want to pay.
Nobody's watching.
Well, they don't.
Nobody cares.
They don't want to pay those ad dollars. So why would they?
So that pink thing, and Susan G. Komen is the big breast cancer thing.
Yeah,
and
then you find out it's like, no, we're creating awareness. And it's like, and then you find out that I think it's like 10% of whatever they make actually goes to research.
This is based off of no facts, but I've heard that Susan G. Komen is not the greatest organization when it comes to actually and they've done a lot of horrible things like eat up and spit out smaller anyways, look up if there's a cause you care about, look up the nonprofit, check their rating. If it's in the 90s, especially the high 90s, that's really good.
Yeah.
If it's below 90, I would think twice and maybe find a different one.
Yeah. Or even that, find something local and go for that.
There you go. And again, when we talk about voting, vote local, because that's the most important thing you could possibly do. But do your research. So our whole topic today, we're going down rabbit holes, but our point was do a little bit of mental gymnastics. And sometimes you have to wade through all the bullshit that gets thrown at you. But think for yourself, think logically. And, if you're a right-wing person, don't believe everything Fox News has to tell you. Maybe go watch CNN or MSNBC, and you're going to hate what you hear, but then at least you hear the other side. And then maybe go find something like, I don't even know if this is true, but I think like realclearpolitics.com is like a good, down the middle kind of non-biased thing.
I'm not sure. I've never.
Brett and one of our favorite podcasts is No Agenda.
Yeah.
I highly recommend you go listen to them if you care about politics. I've also told you time and time again, stop watching the news, stop paying attention, just read the data.
Yeah.
And that's probably good too. But ultimately think for yourself and don't vote on something, don't believe something, don't act on something just because you read a headline on some news source. I was
just going to say that. I'm like, do yourself a favor, read past the headline, read past that Reddit title or whatever it is, because more often than not, there's absolutely no information on what they're talking about, or they'll contradict themselves at the ends. Like, we actually didn't talk to this person or this, that, and the other.
100%. Well, and then understand too, all of the major news corporations are owned by somebody.
Yeah.
And for instance, even MSNBC, I think one of the biggest stakeholders in their parent organization is General Electric. They're a huge defense contractor. They also made probably your washer and maybe your fridge. I don't know. But so they're all handicapped by the people that pay their bills. Mm-hmm. So just understand that. So take that if you like that. If you like Rachel Maddow, if you like Sean Hannity, whoever you like, it doesn't matter. That's fine. Watch them. But then also maybe watch an opposing point of view, and then maybe go do a little bit of research on something that's more non-biased and doesn't have a greater power to answer to, or go listen to Adam Curry and John Dvorak on No Agenda. By the way, we're not sponsored by them or anything. We just happen to like them. They're the ones who got us into enjoying podcasts.
Yeah, pretty much.
But they give a very
but they're not
clear cut down the middle.
But they're not they're a media deconstruction, not necessarily. They do talk about politics and things, but their core thing is deconstructing the bullshit in the media, not necessarily
right. So if you pay attention to media, that might be.
It is very political, but that's just in the hindsight that media is very into politics. So.
Well, if you don't pay attention to politics or the media, then you might learn a few things on that show. If you do, it might be a good kind of an audit of whatever shows you do watch.
Yeah.
Because then you're like, oh, well, they played this clip that so-and-so said such and such. And then they're like, and then you learn on that show, like, oh, well, that was actually edited. And the actual,
here's the whole one.
The whole quote said this. It's like, well, I think that Brett should die if he kills a bunch of puppies. But they would just play the I think Brett should die, and they're like, Tim thinks Brett should die. Right. But then you play the whole quote and you're like, well, I think Brett should die if he were to kill a bunch of puppies. So anyways, it is what it is. But what I'm saying is, do your homework.
Yeah. Don't rely on any one source. Remember in school when you had to have multiple sources for certain things, you got to do the same thing for all your politics and all your other bullshit. I mean, even with science, you needs to be able.
I was just about to
say, even with science, it needs to, your hypothesis needs to be replicable to be considered valid. Otherwise, that's the scientific process. So you have to be
100%.
That's what I'm saying. You should do the same thing for politics.
Yeah, and I've been immersed.
They say this. Okay, these people are saying this. Okay, let me look see if I can find more details so I can actually garner my own opinion on the situation.
Right. Well, and I've been immersed in science for years and years and years. Every study has what they call a p-value, and the p-value is it's a percentage value, and well, actually, it's an anti-percentage. So a p-value of 0.05 is considered statistically significant. And what that means is 0.05 is 5%. So that means that 95. So if you were to do the study the exact same way, that means that 95% of the time, or 95 out of 100 times, you would get the same results that study garnered. So that's considered. So anything less than that, or actually, well, more, a p-value of 0.05 means that 95% of the time. So anything.
Any p-value that's higher than 5%,
100% is not statistically significant. So that being said, however, you also have to pay attention to other things like and I don't want to get too far into this because it's nerd stuff, geek stuff, but there's the N value, which means how many participants or how many patients were considered in that. So if you have an N value of like 15 patients, like which goes for polls too. If you have a poll of 60 people, like you're like, what? Like that doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah.
So just pay attention, because with polls, even with statistically significant scientific studies, even with whatever, you can still skew the results. Statistics are skewable. So again, look at a couple of different things, take a couple different opinions, do your research, do your homework.
It's not going to hurt to hear the other side, guys. Yeah. It's okay.
Or if you don't want to do any research, talk to a couple of people that do some research and maybe take their opinion and then weigh it and measure it and figure out what makes sense to you.
Yeah. Just because you listen to someone else's argument, you don't have to agree with it. You're not a bad person for listening to it. If anything, you'll become a smarter person because they might tell you something that you didn't see or hear or think about, or it might validate your opinion and make you even stronger in discussing it further. So,
and listen to everyone, like especially listen to people who disagree with you.
Yeah. That's one of the things I like to do, is because I hate one-sided. I hate one-sided conversations. So even if I agree with the person, which is what was it? I tell people I'm not an asshole. I just really hate like one-sided mundane conversations. So it's more fun to disagree with people because we could actually have like some form of debate or whatever. So I'm like, so we can either sit in this circle of people and talk and jerk each other off about how awesome something is, or I can disagree with you and actually make it more fun to talk, which is what I usually do in a conversation.
100%, man. And I think that there's and probably a lot of politicians, I think, make this mistake, and famous people as well. Like they surround themselves with people who are
an
echo chamber or yes men, people who just agree with them at every turn. Like I'm no huge fan of Bill Clinton. However, what I will say is when he was running for re-election, he hired a bunch of Republicans to help run his campaign. And there's other presidents who've done the same thing. And that was to basically kind of check them. So I think I'll give him credit. That was a smart thing to do. I think, what was his Dick something? And then I think it came out that he was a toe sucker. I don't know. He paid prostitutes to suck on his toes. It doesn't matter.
I mean, whatever floats your boat.
The bottom line was I think it's especially people who get into this, and I think that's why so many celebrities are so out of touch, because nobody's willing to tell them no. Nobody's willing to tell them. Well, and here's a good example. The first 3 Star Wars were amazing, I think. Not the first 3 in order of. You know what I mean? The ones that came out in the 70s.
Hold on, man. That's 4, 5, and 6. No.
Right,
1, 2. So you like the prequels? You fucking asshole.
Chronologically.
Yeah, you would. Yeah, I bet you like pod racing.
Off.
You fucking piece
of
shit.
Fuck off, dude. Chronologically.
Actually, pod racing is awesome.
So when George Lucas made the first 3 Star Wars, everyone around him was telling him, "You're gonna fail. This is a fucking stupid idea. Yeah. This is dumb." Because sci-fi stuff wasn't super popular back then. So he was facing a lot
seriously.
So he was facing a ton of adversity when he made those 3 movies, 4, 5, and 6, the ones with Mark Hamill and what's his name? Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, those ones. So I think those, because he faced adversity, he had to keep kind of checking his own ideas. And he probably had some ideas like, well, that is kind of dog shit. Maybe I should change that. But then fast forward to the early 2000s when he made the prequels 1, 2, and 3. Everyone was Star Wars was a huge franchise.
Oh, yeah.
So everyone was like, "Oh, Jar Jar Binks is a great idea.
Oh, it's
pod racing is a great idea."
Well, there's that. It can go even deeper. Well, actually, that kind of helped him too, because by everyone not believing in him, he was able to get all the rights to the toys and anything else built by it, and that's what he basically made his fucking mountain
fantastic.
of cash. Oh yeah, he destroyed.
But the point is, he was surrounded by yes men.
Yes.
When he made 1, 2, and 3,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a lot. Don't get me wrong; they're still enjoyable, but there's a lot of dog shit in those movies.
Yeah, no, the prequels are terrible.
If there had been someone around him to tell him, "Hey, no, that's a dumb idea,"
Here's the
they
thing.
probably would have been way better.
There's the theory that because for the ones in the 70s, so the technically 4, 5, and 6, for those of you keeping track, that was when he was married to his wife, and he would bounce ideas off his wife, and his wife would tell him like what's up as far as this
and then
is shit.
Did they split up?
They got divorced before either during or right before he started to decide to do the sequels. So he didn't have that. So yes, in the sense of like people just like, oh, it's George Lucas, he's amazing,
But
he
also
knows what he's doing.
but
he didn't have the counterpart of her like going over things and being like, no, this is fucking shitty. Why are you doing this?
Yeah, which is also a good testament to checking yourself.
Yeah.
When it comes to picking a partner to marry, you should find someone who checks you well. Maybe not too much, like you don't want too much adversity, and that's maybe why
Someone who's going to tell you the truth when you need to hear the truth.
You need to hear the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's hard to tell ourselves the truth. I think we should try to find the truth.
Yeah. Well, no,
But-
sometimes we get caught up in our own ideas. It happens to
Yeah.
all of us. Happens to me. I think I have like a good idea about doing some sort of thing, but then I realize later it's dog shit.
Yeah.
But it's not, it's easier to have, like, that's what constructive criticism is.
Yeah.
But not a lot of people can take it unless you've been in art school.
Yeah.
That was the fun. That was one of the side note about constructive criticism. So
Well, no, that's an interesting dude. That's an interesting segue because
Well, okay. So let me give you.
So you come from a creative place,
Yeah.
which is kind of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I don't. I just come from a place that's riddled with rejection. So it's just like I've just become used to it because I knocked on doors to get my sales training and just got told no all the time.
Yeah. So I've been doing like pretty much like art my whole life, and then it was always my favorite part of school. So at a very young age, like I didn't get any of it obviously in junior high, elementary, any of that, because they're just telling me like, oh, cool, awesome, that looks great. Then you get into high school, then you get like a smidge of it, like usually from the art teacher, as far as just like, oh yeah, here, well, what if we tried doing this? But they're not like ripping you down and tearing you apart. Once you get to college level art, that's when shit gets real.
Okay.
And in the sense of like, so, and I went to city college for like 5 years first. So I had already done like a bunch of like critiques and bullshit because I made sure that every semester I took at least one art class, because that was how I kept my sanity. Because I'm like, I don't have homework. I just come to this class. I fucking art for 2.5, 3 hours. I can come into studio, do whatever I want, whenever I want. I'm like, I wasn't even trying to like, this isn't me trying to get like an A. If I get a B or a C, I don't give a fuck. This is just like my whole mental like health type thing. Even I didn't realize that until I got older, but the sense of like, this is how I keep my sanity. So once I transferred out to San Diego State, I had already had plenty of experience doing group critiques, and having the teacher, anybody who doesn't know. So basically once you start getting to like college level art, whether it be fine art's probably even worse, but like graphic design or anything like that. And that's
what is fine art?
Like painting on canvas and stuff. Like what you think of the classical artist.
So fine art means art you're not gonna
fine art
turn
is
into a job or get paid for the most part.
Yeah, and this like fine art is stuff that's usually in galleries, but then also you through, not to get into specifics, but throughout like the 20th century, stuff that was considered like advertisements or whatever kind of transcended fine art in the sense of like, and then
so like
graphic design kind of became like, if you go to the like modern art, kind of like once modern art came into play, it like started taking into like a lot of graphic design stuff, a lot of like
so like the dude that came up with those the Obama campaign signs.
Well, yeah, he's a street artist. That's Shepard Fairey.
Okay,
so
he's a fine artist.
So he
kind of
yeah. So here's the thing though. It's like nowadays, like the idea of like quote unquote fine. Okay, the classic idea of like fine art, quote unquote. If you go back to before the 20th century and early 20th century is like, okay, you have Van Gogh, you have all that stuff. And then even before then, because it basically the whole...
So before graphic design and everything existed.
No, because it's still like, okay, so if you're talking periods, so for a lot of what we consider like quote unquote fine artists, during certain times, like a good one is what's his name? Last name Munch.
I have no idea.
Anyway, he did a lot of poster design and stuff like that. So a lot of artists like during the Art Deco period and the Art Nouveau period, which is like the early 1900s. So like 1910s to like 30s, 40s. Because before that was before computers. So there's no digital art or anything.
Right.
So all that shit had to be drawn. Right. So you'd have these basic illustrators and stuff like that who would actually create these things. And at that time,
we'll put it on the printing press.
Yeah. Well, not even that. So like lithograph, but also they'd create the original and then, they printed it a bunch of different times. Yeah. But at the time, it was not considered art. It's considered just like, oh, you do it's not fine art. It's not on a canvas. It's not in a gallery. It's not in this. The whole idea of like fine art is like gallery related things.
Well, and before like wall posters and shit existed, probably like non-reproducible.
Well, no, that just it was but also the thing is like it's reproducible in the sense of it's advertisements. It's just for anything.
I mean, the fine art stuff is not reproducible.
No, this is before.
Like now, of course, you can spend $5.99 at Walmart and get a Starry Night poster to hang on your fucking wall. Yeah. But back in the 1600s or whatever the hell Van Gogh was around, that didn't exist.
But also during that time too is because partially what led to, I'm kind of getting into the weeds with this, but I'll bring it back. So what led to the whole idea of like Van Gogh and Picasso and all those other guys, well, not so much Picasso, but like Van Gogh specifically and guys who came into it in the mid 1800s to the late 1800s is because the camera came out. Before, art was like the whole idea of art was paint what you see. Yeah. We don't have cameras. We don't have shit. So like the whole point of art was to be able to like
like the kings and shit used to have a
well, just that. It's like portraiture, landscapes, whatever. It's like just the same things. Like cameras didn't exist. Yeah. Once cameras came into play,
I have to pee. I'll be right back. Keep telling your story.
Once cameras came into play, the whole idea to paint a picture became almost meaningless because you could just literally take a photo and be like, oh, here it is. Here's an exact replica and copy of what I want to look at. Granted, it's in black and white at the time, but you could do that. So that's kind of like what led into surrealism and all those other types of artworks that we know today that during that time weren't considered art because everyone was still thinking about like the old classical shit. You had the surrealists and the shit. Can't even think what I'm thinking right now. But things of the nature. Van Gogh, Impressionism. That's the word I'm looking for. So you had guys like that coming out trying to be like, well, how do I make something different? But then, people would see it at the time and be like, oh, anybody could do that. And then it came to the whole idea you die a starving artist, and the only way your shit becomes relevant and expensive is when you die. So back to the constructive criticism thing. So I was already used to it. So it was always fun going on critique day to put our shit on the wall and watch people kind of like slowly die inside from all of the quote unquote critiques that they would get. I remember it was like I had already taken several like graphic design 1 classes, but since I transferred, they didn't transfer over to my major at the time, so I had to retake some stuff. So the first one, like graphic design 1, and I'd see these people over the years because, all the classes are in the same spot. The teacher had to remind him, was like, and remember, we're not attacking the person who made the art. We're talking about the piece, not the person, okay? And I just thought it was hilarious. And there's one specific one once I got to like more advanced classes where the teacher just ripped this team apart. It was just like we had to do, it was for, it's called environmental graphics. So if you never thought about whoever makes all those signs to like, hey, this goes here, or this map that tells you to go to this place, someone designs that shit. So that's what environmental graphics is. So we had this one thing where we all had a project, team of 3, and we were basically given this, there was this berm of this ugly concrete slab on Montezuma that was a retaining wall, but it was just like slapped concrete on there. It didn't have any like,
All right.
So the idea was basically like, oh, hey, do some Photoshop, make it look nice. And these one people just basically took a bunch of text and put it in Photoshop over it, and the teacher just ripped them apart. And she was a guest speaker because she was a different teacher from a different design course, but she was on sabbatical. So she came in as a guest speaker to do the critique.
Shit.
And she destroyed them. And me and my team were in the back just because it was obviously one of the team is like, we just threw this together an hour before the class because none of us did any fucking work. So like, you only have yourself to blame. But it was like, she was just ripping them apart and just be like, it's obvious you didn't do no work. This is blah, 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 blah. And just like, and we're just like in the back just going, oh, fuck. I'm like, oh, and she just kept going and going. And then the teacher opens it up to the rest, goes, anybody else have anything to say? And some other chick raises her hand and starts putting more in the pile. And we're just like, stop. They're already dead.
Oh, yeah.
But it's, I don't even know what point I was trying to make. Constructive criticism.
We're talking about constructive criticism. So let's bring it back around. Because we were talking about, I think, surrounding yourself with people, if you're willing to do this, surrounding yourself with people who are willing to tell you you're wrong is actually going to make you better.
Yes.
Now, granted, if you're in a fragile state, I'm not recommending you do this necessarily. But if you truly want to get better at something or smarter at something, what is the old saying? It's something about the grind sharpens the axe.
Steel sharpens steel.
Right. So basically you need a rough surface. If you want your blade to be the sharpest it can be, and obviously I'm speaking in metaphors here, people. Mm-hmm. You need a very a rough surface. Yeah. And again, in metaphors, that means if you want to be better, sometimes you have to open yourself up to criticism. Yeah. So and Brett's talking about, I think, so if you can to round this story out, did you get beat up a lot?
I mean, yeah.
At City College? Like, did you notice, was it a lot, like, was it kind of like out of the frying pan into the fire when you got to San Diego State?
It was definitely more, but also...
But do you think that made you better?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Like, here's the thing, like if you just have people saying you're awesome, because here's the thing, it's just like operating in a vacuum. You're just it's the same thing. You're just having people telling you, yeah, that looks great. And as soon as you exit that vacuum, the first person who sees will be like, that's a fucking piece of shit.
Yeah.
Or no, that's fucking stupid. So the whole, you're not just like with your p-values and your end things.
Yeah.
If you have a small sample group of people telling you it's awesome, doesn't necessarily mean it's awesome. It could still be the most amazing thing that anyone's ever seen.
That's why a lot of medical stuff needs to be peer reviewed.
Yeah.
So you and your group of people, most likely, sometimes you're truly unbiased. Yeah. But let's say we give you this drug. Most likely you want the drug to succeed or you want the drug to fail. I don't know. You want something. You go the scientific method, but you can still choose inclusion criteria, exclusion criteria, how many patients you're going to put in the study. No matter, and whether it's medical or not, doesn't matter. But you can choose all of the criteria for said thing that generates the statistics to alter the statistics to favor your hypothesis. Yeah. But that being said, that's why most medical stuff needs to be peer reviewed, or something that's peer reviewed is more highly regarded, because then that means, if I did something with a bunch of my colleagues and we're like, oh, this is great, we get these great results. I need someone, Brett, who's in my field, to look at it, who has no skin in the game. He doesn't give a shit. And he's like, no, you guys definitely stack the deck. This is dog shit. Back to the drawing board, bitches. Yeah. So the bottom line is, we're talking about thinking for yourself, but also if you surround yourself with people who disagree with you, sometimes that makes you better or smarter, because you get the opposing points of view. Sure. If you love Fox News and if you think everything you see on Fox News is great, or if you watch CNN or MSNBC and you think everything you hear is great, try watching the opposite and see what you think, because try to be open-minded, because sometimes you might get a fact and you're like, well, shit, that kind of makes sense. Like, yeah. I was listening to Rogan and he had Tom Papa on, and at some point they got into, I was listening to two idiots talk about coronavirus, and neither of them had any business talk. Like they had no idea what I had to turn it off. But at the beginning, he was talking about how he's like, so I was watching Tucker Carlson. I was like, he made some good points. And then I watched MSNBC and they made some good points. And so that's kind of what you need to do if you're willing to do it. If not, then just try to do a little research, find some sort of, that they exist. Find some more sort of down the middle, facts only, non-biased stuff. Like if you're like, hey, look, I followed Tim's advice. I stopped paying attention to the news, but I do want to vote on all these stupid local elections. They're not stupid. They're actually great. That you should focus on local elections, but like find a site, do a little research and find a website or some sort of source where you can get like just the facts information.
Yeah. There's a sense of like, just do your best to figure out both sides of the situation, figure out what's more important to you. But then also sometimes like the funny thing is like, I'm a very centrist person in that sense. Like, especially when it comes to politics. It's like, I just think everyone's terrible, but
yeah, I just hate politics.
But in the sense of like, I understand like that's just my personality. It's a very difficult position to be in the sense of like, but it's freeing at the same time because I've had situations where like, because us as humans, we want to know is like, I want to know what the right answer is. I want to know what to do, but sometimes you never find that, but you have to be okay with not being able to find that sometimes.
Well, and that's a tough pill to swallow for a lot of people.
I know, but I mean,
like you and I are in search of the truth. So
yeah,
you may be okay with, I want to know what really happened to JFK. And the end result is all I know is what I used to know is not true. And that I don't know what really happened. And I have to be okay with that. Yeah. 9/11, same thing. Like there's just so many different things where, but some people
never really thought about that actually, like being okay with not knowing as like being into conspiracy theories. I'm like, it kind of helps you get into that. It's like, it's like, I'd love to know what actually happened, but
well, and that's why I don't necessarily recommend everybody do what we do, but we're okay with not knowing. I'm okay with this solution that what they told me isn't true. Yeah. And I'll never know what really is true. Yeah. But I just like knowing for a fact that the stuff that they told me isn't true. Anyways. Yeah. We're not trying to pitch conspiracy theories or any of that. But what we're trying to pitch is use a little bit of logic.
Yeah. But also
double check yourself.
Here's the other thing. You make it even more complicated. You have to know when to use it and when not to use it. In the sense of like, if you're talking to one of your friends or whatever, and I have this problem. I'm a very honest person, and I'm not going to blow smoke up your ass. I'm always going to tell you like what I think in the sense, but sometimes that's not the best thing and it can hurt someone's feelings. And I've done that quite a few times and it's not, and I had to be told like, I don't need you to critique this. I just want you to be able to talk like whatever. I'm not looking for your opinion on them. It's like, it's more or less like, I just need that a boy. I'm like, okay, but that's just me.
You're like, yeah, but you don't deserve that.
Well, no, this is like, here's the thing. Cause it's taken me a while to figure it out in the sense of like, especially like relationships and things like that.
Oh yeah.
It's different. It's just
dude,
like
when Lindsay asks you something, you just have not
all the time. Sometimes, but she understands too that in the sense of like, that's not how I operate.
Yeah. No, exactly. She knows you.
Yeah. But no, she understands like that.
Sometimes someone just needs support though.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's what
for sure.
But the thing is that was fucked up in my mind is that I thought for myself, which isn't true, that me not telling them the truth was me lying to them. And that's the last thing I want to do to somebody is lie to them. So,
well, just understand the situation and understand the repercussions. Like if she's, we'll use she in the general sense, or he, if your significant other or a good friend of yours, like if they're going for a job interview and they're asking you to critique the proposal they put together, or they have like some sales thing coming up or whatever it is,
they might just need a little confidence boost.
Well, true. Yeah. But if there's a lot on the line, then maybe they do need the truth.
Yeah. Because
like, you don't want to, sometimes they just need an attaboy or an attagirl, but sometimes like, especially if, if it's a big deal on the line or a job promotion on the line, if there's something that you see that they could do better, like, then you should probably speak up.
Yeah, like, if they have the time to be able to fix it. Yeah. But if you're talking to them 10 minutes before they're about to walk into that room, then you just got to tell them, be like, see, that's what I had the problem with as far as like, oh yeah, you should probably fix that. Oh, you don't have time. Oh, well, fuck.
At that point, dude, I think it's
just like, it's brilliant. It's amazing. Go kill it.
You know what?
And then that confidence boost that you're going to give them by having that is going to push them a little further than what to be able to do. What? Maybe surpass
your proposal's good. But the bottom line is you got this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. I feel like we talked in a lot of circles. We made some good points.
Yeah.
We'll just wrap it up. What are your final thoughts, Brett?
Don't be afraid to think for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be afraid to talk to somebody who has an opposing opinion than you do. Just because they think a certain way and you think a certain way doesn't mean they're any less of a human or you're less of a human.
No.
Or that by you talking to them makes you a terrible person. It doesn't.
No, and you know what? If you have a strong belief on something, you should want to talk to someone who completely disagrees with you.
Yeah.
And if what you believe in and your beliefs in that thing are as strong as you think they are, then you should be able to weather that storm and come out believing in what you believe in even more. And if that's not the case, then maybe you need to take another look at it.
Yeah, maybe you need to reevaluate, or maybe by reevaluating, you find something deeper that you didn't even realize about what you believed in that helps solidify your argument.
Or you surround yourself with people who agree with you and disagree with you, and you question everything, and then you end up realizing that nothing is true, and everything is wrong.
And that we're all in a simulation.
And then you're Tim or Brett.
Yeah.
But that's just us. I'm not saying you be us, because we're a little jaded.
You be you.
But you be you. And just sharpen your sword. Look for logic. And I'm not saying emotions aren't important.
Follow your heart.
But when it comes to
brain.
certain things, try to remove emotions for a second and then see what happens.
Yeah.
And then you're more than free to put your emotions back into it after that. But
use both. Use emotion
100%.
But use logic at the same time.
Yeah. So that's that. This is our mental gymnastics, mental judo. I haven't decided what I'm going to call this episode yet, but we'll figure it out. Brett, do you have any recommendations? Any podcasts you've listened to lately, books you've read, movies you've seen, shows you've watched that you recommend to the peeps?
Let's see here. Well, since it's the witching month, Lindsay and I have been watching. We have one more episode to go of The Haunting of Bly Manor.
Dude, so good.
Liking it.
So good. So complicated though. If you're gonna watch The Haunting of Bly Manor,
it's
fucking pay attention.
Pay attention. But I can see why. Well, you have the tendency to fall asleep mid-show, so I can understand. It was,
and then Netflix,
once I got halfway through, I realized I paused it. I'm like, I can see why Tim had to go back and rewatch some things after falling asleep with certain things, because I'm like,
here's
wait,
the problem. You're watching it, you're into it, and then the next episode plays. Episode, so I don't remember what episode I was on.
Yeah.
And then I fall asleep, and then the next episode plays. So then I was like, I wake up and I'm like, what the fuck? What just happened? And I don't even know where I left off. So then I got to go back to who knows what. Yeah. But but you have to at least pay a decent amount of attention to that show. There's a lot going on.
Yeah. There's some time skipping thing that's a little, you got to pay attention to. But yeah, if you watch The Haunting on Hill House, it's the same guys who did that. And it's a lot of the same cast.
It's kind of
it's like a sequel, but not. It's kind of like
American Horror Story.
Yeah, that's what they're kind of doing, is what it seems like. Yeah. If you haven't watched Haunting in Hill House,
I would recommend binging that first.
Yeah, I think I like Haunting in Hill House more.
They're totally different
stories. But they're totally different. I like that. It's a little darker. That's why I like it. But this one's still the fun.
Well, the Haunting on Hill House is cool. It's a little darker. And I kind of resonated with the story a little more because it's like all about it's all about family. It's a story about at the heart of it. Yes, it's a horror story, but it's a story about family.
Yeah.
Like I even told my mom she might enjoy it.
Yeah.
And my mom hates horror stuff.
Yeah.
That's not her thing.
Well, that's the thing. Like I was trying to get Lindsay to watch this because she doesn't like horror stuff too. But actually, this was a good intro because it's not terribly scary. There's a few jump scares.
A few, yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny watching it jump, but.
The dude, the guy that actually got me to watch The Haunting of Hill House, which led to me watching The Haunting of Bly Manor, is one of the guys that works for me, and it's funny because he's a big football player, dude, and he's like, oh my god, I hate horror movies, I can't watch them, like they scare me.
Yeah.
But he was like, but dude, the story's so good, you got to watch it.
It's great.
And I was like, okay, all right, I'll give it a shot.
What are some other good ones? If you want something that's not really scary but more kind of homage-y to like campy 80s, it's still a horror film, but it's doesn't take itself seriously. It's we watched it a while back. It's called Stitches. It's the one with it's a British one.
It's the clown one.
That's the one with the clown. Yeah, that dies at the kids' party and comes back when they're teenage. I was surprised. That was very entertaining. That's a good one to watch.
Well, if you're into campy 80s slasher films, go watch. So I watched the first season of American Horror Story, loved it. every season since then until like Hotel. I started it and never finished one of them.
Yeah, couldn't do it.
But I did go back and watch 1984, which is like a kind of Crystal Lake summer camp kind of 80s slasher film
Never heard of it.
homage. It's the last season before the new season that's about to come out.
Oh, it's American Horror Story?
Yeah.
Oh, is it good?
It's fantastic.
Oh.
I recommend
check it out.
100% because they keep it true to the kind of the 80s like slasher film thing, but then but there's a lot of twists and they add some new stuff, and it's dude, I binged the whole season. It was great.
Nice.
It's not a horror movie, but if you're not into like really graphic, really gruesome stuff, don't watch it. But if you are and you enjoy really dark humor, go watch the show The Boys. That show is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Season 2 just came out. I
still need to watch
freaking
it.
Fantastic. Season 3 already got greenlit, and my boy Jensen Ackles from Supernatural got cast as one of the villains, which makes sense because Eric Kripke, who is one of the directors of Supernatural, is the guy who's the showrunner on The Boys. Anyways, The Boys is fantastic. Go watch it.
Yeah. Also, for something, it does have subtitles, but it's more of a sci-fi thing. Dark, amazing. Do yourself a favor, watch it.
I haven't watched that one.
It's really good.
Try it.
It's German.
Yeah, it's German.
But it's the way the German language is, or just maybe because it's more of a sci-fi drama-based thing. The things I hate about like subtitles sometimes is that they talk so.
You know I hate subtitles.
I know. I think you'll actually be okay with this one because part of the reason why I hate subtitles is
most of them are Asian.
Yeah, I know. Is because
and that makes it really hard because the language is
it's
so
going.
Much different.
I know, but they're talking so fast.
Yeah.
On screen, and so the shit goes by super quick. And I'm not a super fast reader, so with the German,
but German and English is a lot more similar.
So there's not a lot of times where I'm like not being able to finish what's being read, and also there's a lot more dramatic pausing and things of that nature. So it's a lot more easy to get into.
I'll give it a shot. I'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
Do I have any recommendations? I don't think I do.
Yeah.
I think I'm good for now. So do yourself a favor. Quit all your social media.
Yeah.
Stop watching the news. No, but get your information from multiple sources. Don't be afraid to stay friends with the people who disagree with you and, debate with them. Like have healthy debates. I mean, part of the reason I like Joe Rogan so much is that he's willing to bring people on who he disagrees with and give them time to talk. And I think that has made him a smarter individual. Mm-hmm. And, Travis Turner is one of my best friends, and we vehemently disagree on pretty much everything. But we use that to talk to each other. And at the end of the day, we mostly disagreed on everything completely still. But it helped us poke holes in our own beliefs and realize some of the stuff that we believed was stupid. And you can either change your mind or realize or kind of sharpen your sword, back to my metaphors. So we're going to leave you with that. Y'all have a great week, and we will talk to you again soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So what I believe you were trying to say is thank you.